Top 10 shocking secrets the Queen kept from King Charles. Starting off with number 10, gagging order. Queen Elizabeth's former dresser, Angela Kelly, has been presented with a new grace and favor home in the north of England after she was forced out of her Windsor digs on agreement that she won't reveal any more royal secrets. The Mail says the senior palace aide acting for King Charles presented Kelly with a new non-disclosure agreement to sign as part of the deal. A source told the Mail that the agreement was essentially a gagging order preventing Kelly from using the words king and palace for commercial purposes. Kelly was expected to write a third book about her royal role, but the Mail says the agreement may imping on, if not outright torpedo that. Charles, the paper says, wanted to both honor his late mother's wishes by providing Kelly with a home, while stopping the leak of any more royal dish. On to number 9, the secret room. All historic buildings have their secrets, and Westminster Abbey is no exception. Dating back to 1245, when King Henry III selected it as his burial site, the Abbey has spaces that the royals occupy but that remain unknown to the masses. One of these has recently been revealed to a select few. There's a hidden room located in the Parliament's Speaker's quarters, which the monarch traditionally sleeps in on the night before their coronation. The rarely seen room was made right before King Charles's coronation for the public, for only the second time during a brief recess period for guided tours. While photography is not allowed, a few images of the royal room that overlooks the Westminster Bridge have been made public, revealing its red flock wallpaper and stenciled ceiling. It is a grand room with a fireplace at each end, surmounted by a mirror, writes Stephen Little, who saw the room last year, referring to a shovel full-length mirror that would get moved to the royal robing room for use by Queen Elizabeth when she got ready for the state opening of Parliament before being returned, according to London resident Laura Porter, who also took the tour. A portrait of the Speaker from 1976 to 1983, George Thomas, also hangs in the room. On to number 8, distant mother. Being Queen of England while also being a mom had to have been a tough road to travel, and it's highly likely Queen Elizabeth did her best. However, there are numerous anecdotes, articles, and even books that reference the idea that perhaps her best just wasn't good enough. It seems that Charles and Anne, her two oldest children, may have had a very different mother from Andrew and Edward, possibly to their detriment. Charles was often left in the care of nannies while his younger brothers were allegedly much closer to their mother. Edward was rumored to have been able to get away with almost anything due to his close relationship with Queen Elizabeth, which could explain why as an adult he went on to become a successful TV producer and editor for the BBC after leaving the Royal Navy in 2001. On to number 7, preventing Meghan from visiting the Queen. New details about the drama surrounding who was ultimately with the late Queen for her final hours, and why Meghan Markle's rift with the family meant Kate Middleton had to stay home. According to the Daily Telegraph, Kate reluctantly stayed back as William raced to Balmoral amid news the monarch's health was failing, traveling on a private jet with his uncles Prince Andrew and Prince Edward, along with Edward's wife Sophie. The publication reports that as the family gathered in the Scottish Highlands on September 8, Charles struck a deal with his son and daughter-in-law to keep Kate at home in a bid to prevent Meghan coming with Prince Harry. At the time, Meghan and Harry, already largely estranged from his relatives, were in Europe on a whirlwind work trip. Royal author, journalist, and commentator Robert Jobson explained that as relatives rushed to the Queen's side, Charles asked his son not to bring his wife, explaining if Catherine doesn't come, Meghan can't either. It's not appropriate for wives to attend. Harry was insisting Meghan travel with him to Scotland as the Queen's life ebbed away, but the King said it was only for the children and grandchildren to be with the Queen. Privately, he wanted to say Meghan was not welcome, but he couldn't say that to Harry, so he personally intervened and asked Kate to stay back so that it was fairer on Meghan. Kate deliberately stayed away, but she desperately wanted to be there with the Queen in her last moments, and that's eaten Kate up and has built up resentment towards Meghan. Jobson, whose new biography, Our King Charles III, The Man and the Monarch, will be released in Australia, and added that Charles was with his mother when she passed away at 310, along with Camilla, Princess Anne, and the Queen's longtime doctor. Sadly, William, Edward, Andrew, and Sophie arrived almost 2 hours too late at 5 p.m. while Harry didn't join them until just before 8. Harry opened up about the devastating hours surrounding his grandmother's passing in his memoir Spare, revealing that he'd first read the news of her passing on the BBC website after landing in Scotland. After Buckingham Palace issued a statement about the Queen's declining health, a spokesman for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex announced the duo would both be traveling to Scotland together. Charles was said to have discovered the Sussexes' plan to head to Scotland via the media, and Harry has revealed he called him shortly after. Then my father called again. He told me I was welcome at Balmoral, but without her, he wrote. Harry added he started to explain his reasons, but they didn't make any sense at all, and it was disrespectful as well. I didn't tolerate it from him. Don't even think about talking about my wife like that. Repentant, he said, stammering that he simply didn't want the place to be full of people. Nobody's wife was gonna go, not even Kate, he told me, so Meg shouldn't either. Number 6, Princess Diana. The top secret revealed by Diana was back in '95 when the princess agreed to sit down with BBC's Martin Bashir. In the interview, Diana opened up about her marriage to Charles, about her experiences with the royal family, and admitted that she had also had an affair during her marriage. She revealed that Charles's long affair with Camilla Parker Bowles made her feel worthless. There were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded. Diana did not care and exposed Charles pretty badly with that. She said that she suspected Charles's staff was also waging a campaign against her. It's really sad to hear how much the charismatic and charming princess had to suffer. After the interview aired, Queen Elizabeth wrote to the couple, who at that point had been separated since 1992, and told them to proceed with their divorce. In the years following the release of the interview, it's been alleged that the BBC showed Diana's brother, Charles, fake bank statements that they claimed were proof that the media had been paying the royal family for information about Diana in order to convince her to tell her side of the story. Drama between the royals and the media is always entertaining for us, right? On to number 5, Charles's relationship problems. We all know that the relationship between the late Princess Diana and then Prince Charles was no secret. So when the news about them breaking up finally went public, many people became interested in them as individuals and as a failed marriage. Number 4, personal funds. Far from opening the royal family's wealth, inherited or otherwise, to scrutiny, astonishingly, there appears to be no study on this topic. The Queen successfully lobbied the government to change a draft law in order to conceal her embarrassing private wealth from the public. The Queen was also given a personal exemption from having her private estate searched for stolen or looted artifacts, and her household remained exempt from laws that ban race and sex discrimination. Although it is speculated that her personal wealth amounts to hundreds of millions of pounds, the exact amount is still unknown. The wealth is not all simply historical. It's instructive that the British monarchy gives itself the business name The Firm. Despite all the patriotic songs, it has offshore investments that don't pay taxes, like many other global corporations do. Additionally, Charles's mother's inheritance will not be subject to inheritance tax. The most crucial aspect of understanding the British monarchy and the Queen, who recently sat on his throne, is the politics of enormous wealth. A poet once said that the monarchy and the royal family serve as only the string that ties the robber's bundle. Their ultimate purpose is to emphasize the rich and powerful's right to make decisions. The Queen was one of the largest private landowners in the nation, continuing the earliest forms of feudalism. For the British monarchy, which sprinkles generous doses of charity on the populace while sitting comfortably at the interface of old wealth. Number 3, affairs. The late Diana and King Charles had a pretty rocky relationship, and it was never hard to see the lack of chemistry or affection in the couple. Diana was torn after finding out about the affair King Charles was having with Camilla. The affairs didn't even stop there. Diana confessed that she was also seeing other men during their rocky marriage, and since Charles had already admitted to Diana that he wasn't in love with her, it seemed the princess was gonna get love one way or another. Number 2, Camilla. According to King Charles's biographer, who spoke with Newsweek's Royal Report podcast, Queen Elizabeth always detested Camilla and only agreed to give her blessing for the royal to be known as Queen Consort because of an unspoken deal behind the scenes regarding Prince Andrew. Camilla, who is now Queen or the Queen Consort, first met Charles in the 70s, and the two were in and out of relationships ever since. Charles admitted to adultery when his marriage became irrevocably broken down in 1981, when his marriage to Diana began. Number 1, tax fraud. The family has been exposed numerous times and have been dealing with a number of issues, one of which is tax fraud. The late Queen was once exposed for concealing her wealth from the public. It was alleged that Queen Elizabeth's private attorney pressed ministers to modify the proposed legislation to prevent the public from learning about her shareholdings. Even though the Queen's actual holdings were never made public, we can only assume they were in the hundreds of millions of pounds range. invested at least $13.1 million into offshore tax-sheltered funds located in the Cayman Islands and Bermuda, according to Newsweek. Party leaders and anti-monarchists investigated the Queen's finances, specifically her private funds, the Duchy of Lancaster, and discovered that the Queen is evading taxes on her $680 million duchy by $15 million. But that is all for today. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time on The Rich Life.